We weren't planning on making this video just about storage, but then we realized this mid-price fifth wheel gives us 185 cubic feet of it. That's more than some luxury rigs offer, and yeah, we're using every inch of it. Whether you're part-time like us or traveling full-time, storage like this changes the game. We'll show you exactly how we pack it and what we've learned on the road, and at the end, we're answering your most asked questions: rear kitchen setup, tow vehicles, and whether anything's broke yet. So let's dive in. All right guys, so this video we're going to do 4 points on storage. So we're going to do storage zones, we're going to do organizational must-haves, we are going to do storage tips from the road, kind of how to make sure you have an easy experience there, and then we're going to take you inside and show you around on the inside. Come and go with me, let's look around, kind of show you how we do these things, kind of show you how I'm set up and how massive the storage bay is. Storage zones, I really only have one storage zone because the one thing that really drew us to this camper is this front bay is 185 square feet. But it's kind of chopped up in a couple of different ways, and you can use it a couple of different ways. So I've got my front bay where I keep all my road must-have tools. So everything that goes in there is kind of like my insurance. That's my insurance bay. So if you come in here, I have different things like, well, that's not really insurance, but I got my battery up here, and this is like leveling blocks, things of that nature. And then this is tools. So this is impact wrenches. Inside of this thing here, I have electric impact, multimeter, screwdrivers, WD-40, like type stuff, lubrication type stuff. And then I have an extra set of sockets and torque wrenches in there. And then this is my, if I run into you and you don't have tools, this is what I would give you and say, pass it forward at some point. So that's kind of my other thing. This thing here, I'm not even sure why this is in here because it doesn't need to be, but we'll leave it there. That's my puck system, B&W ball and hitch stuff. One thing that's cool about this is, and I'll go into kind of why I have it set up this way, but this is set up this way for a particular reason. So I'm going to take you around the side and show you the big bay where I keep all the other stuff. All right, so let's talk about our pass-through storage, and we're going to start on this side and then we'll go around the other side. So one thing I like about this camper is this storage unit is huge. I can literally get in there if there's nothing in it and sit in here. That's how big this thing is. Also, it's heated, which is also nice if you have something that will freeze, that you have the option of it not freezing if you're running your furnace. So, but to kind of give you an idea, without getting all this stuff out, I've got 2 e-bikes. I have a Slinky stove. I have a giant trash can, a campfire rack, a Starlink, awning mat, 2 rocking chairs, this thing we bought at Hershey that you hang your towels on behind your camper. In these 2 little totes back here is like, I got a sup pump, I've got fire starters, and miscellaneous bike things, I think was in one of those. Like we have like a little bag that goes on the back of our e-bikes, it's in there. And a bicycle pump and T9 lubrication. So that's kind of what I got on this side. So one thing with us being part-time that we will do is I switch stuff out from time to time. So currently, like these beach chairs were just in here. I took them out so I could show you around, but we have like inflatable kayaks with the oars that break down. If I take the beach chairs out, the kayaks can go in. And honestly, I could probably put the beach chairs and the kayaks in there if I would just organize it a little bit better. With us getting the bikes off of the rack of the back of the camper, I really like that. I put them in here, they're out of the weather and they're secure, which I appreciate. Not having to worry about those e-bikes because apparently those are like something that people like to borrow and not give back. So I think they call it stealing. And coming around the other side, this is where I keep like stuff I use every time we go camping. So I have like more leveling blocks. I got wheel chocks. I've got, I don't know what you call those things where you put your sewer hose on and it makes your stuff run downhill, but I got those. A couple more totes, and then the reel for the power cord. And so like I say, I mean, when you stop and think about it, like on our other camper, our travel trailer, I had to be mindful of putting this in the storage bay. I had to kind of like slide it in and get it to fit. It was, it was a travel trailer, so you're not going to have as much space, but I really like how big this bay is. This bay is actually 185 square feet, cubic feet. If it was square feet, that'd be a big old bay. Also, what's cool that they did, and I wish, I have mixed emotions about it. They got a net that goes between the kind of the front bay and the pass-through bay, and they did that in case you had something really long that you could kind of put in their caddy corner if you didn't have everything else in there, and store like a plastic kayak or whatever they make those things out of will actually fitting their front to back. So one thing that we have, and I don't currently use it, I'm going to use it, is you always can, like this wall here, you can put like a piece of plywood or something behind it, and you can hang like fishing poles and things of that nature on it. I'm probably going to use it for a Victron at some point. I know I'm still talking about that, but like for like my fishing post, just get you ones that collapse. Got that at Walmart. You're welcome, Walmart.
Another great tip for part-time RVers is keeping a seasonal rotation bin, which is a fancy way of saying a tote that you keep in your garage for changing out seasonal things. In this tote, we keep stuff like, you know, the heavier Adirondack chair blankets that we don't need in the summer. You know, we'll pack them in here and put them in the camper in the fall. Things like, it's not in here currently, but it was our cast iron Dutch oven. That's something we will only take in the fall. We're not going to be like campfire cooking in the dead of summer. So those are things we would keep in the bin or in the garage. Other than that, the only things that really don't fit in here, this is like small seasonal stuff, right? Like maybe you want to keep your beach towels in here or something, but honestly, if you get Nomadix towels can work for beach and bath. So you wouldn't need to buy a bath set and a beach set. You just have one set. But other than that, like the large stuff, the beach chairs, the kayaks we already talked about, most of the time they're in the bottom of the camper. And if we really don't need them and we need the extra storage in the bottom of the camper, then we'll just take them out and put them in the garage. And that's really all the only switching we do. So
storage must-haves, and the first one that I think you should really have, and I could totally pull it off in this camper, but I don't, because if I pulled it off, my bikes wouldn't fit. But that would be like a more ride slide-out tray. Now I have tons of room, and if I didn't carry my bikes in this bay and put them back on the back of the bike, or the back of the camper on the bike rack, I would probably put a more ride tray in here. I'm just being honest with you. But I like them where they're at, so if you have room for one of those, we've had them in the past. We put them in our diesel pusher. They work, and I miss them almost as much as I miss my grandma.
wow.
Joking. Something that Venture does that I think every camper should do, and if you have one of these bays that has like the metal slick floor, like my front bay had it, but they get you some sort of rubber coating or something, like a mat that you can cut and lay in there. It just helps your stuff from sliding around. It's never fun when you're driving down the road and some jackwagon pulls out in front of you, like they did me yesterday picking this thing up, and you slam on your brakes and everything in your bay is at the front of the bay. That's just as frustrating, and so that alleviates some of that. Now, one thing that I highly recommend, and because I am not as organized as Valerie, I'm actually quite unorganized, to be honest with you, is, and I'll just pull this one out because it will be the easiest one to get to, is I got these at Home Depot, and it's these totes with clear lids, which is awesome because I can stick my head in there and see what's in it. And the cool part about this is if you stay with these, they have all kinds of different sizes that will stack, and they kind of lock in each other on top. Which I have a couple in the back there that we'll get to in a minute. But
I would love to put those in our Amazon store. We just haven't found any that are that great and like awesome. That on Amazon.
These
so
are awesome.
Home Depot is where it's at.
Yeah, I really like them. I'm glad I stumbled across those. Which, you know, I see a lot of RVers use those. But to kind of give you an idea like how they stack, these are the same thing, and I've got these stacked, and the smaller ones on the bottom, bigger ones on the top. Anything that you can do, one thing that I think everyone should have, especially if you have a 50 amp cable, is God, I love that thing right there. It lets me really kind of roll up my cable and keep it nice and clean and condensed versus trying to roll it up by hand. And then when I get to where I'm going, I just grab it and start walking. Really like that guy. The thing that really kind of turned me on to those is on my diesel pusher. I had one on an electric button. Hit the button, it went in. Valley shaking her head, it's like she remembers that. So really enjoy that thing. That thing is, it just, the more you can condense your stuff, the more space you have for more stuff. All right, guys, I am not the most organized person in the world, so I'm just going to give you my Jarrett's version of storage tips from the road. So I kind of got my camper set up in a specific way. So everything on this side of the bay is stuff that we use when we go camping. That would be chairs, awnings, bikes, fire pit, Starlink, just that type of stuff. When we get to where we're going, that is the stuff that I pull out once we're like fully in a camping mode setup. My front bay is where I keep my heavy tools. And I do this for a reason. So I have things in there like bottle jacks, impact wrenches, impact sockets, things like if I have an issue on the road, like we did when we went to Lone Ridge and had to change a tire, I didn't have to look for anything. I knew where everything was at. So this little black Husky box down here, everything I need to change a tire is in this little box right here, which is impact sockets. And this is like a pack out box, like you see with like Milwaukee makes, but I've got like battery cleaners, currency checkers, ratchets, impact socket, multimeter, all kinds of air solvents and lubrications, fuses, all kinds of good stuff in here. This is where if I have like it hits the fan when we're on the road, this is the box I'm going to. Make sure you know what's in it and where it's at, and it's easy to get to. 100%. I mean, when we had the flat tire on our way to Lone Ridge, I'm not sure why that's in there. Put that back in the house. I mean, we were, what, 20 minutes? We had a tire on and off back on the road. It's because I knew where everything was at. These are tools that I don't use very often, but if you got to use them, you need to know where they're at. So we're still doing storage trips on the road, and I like to have my camper laid out this way just because, to me, it makes the most sense. Maybe it doesn't to you. If you do something different, let me know. But when I come over here, on this side, I like it set up like this because, like, if we're traveling and we're overnighting somewhere, everything I need to get out to get us through a night comfortably at a campsite or whatever is right here. Leveling blocks, surge protector, a water hose, all right there. That's pretty much what I need to set up for overnight. And then one thing that I do is like I keep, these are like things that I use more often when we're camping. Different tools in here, stuff that, you know, maybe I need to tighten something up or whatnot. So I've got drills. My blower is normally in there. I'm gonna put it up and put it back in here before I forget. We got drills and different bit sets, air compressors in here, all the little things that we use. And then that leads me to my next box. And it's all like stuff for this side of the camper, if that makes sense. I'll just show you. I've got like an extra surge protector, regular extension cord, 50 amp extension cord. Oh, I got another cramp in my ribs. Y'all, shoot me. Help me, Jesus. I'm dying. Still dying.
You're smiling.
It's funny, but it's funny, but it hurts. It's like right here. Maybe it's a heart attack. So know that this is probably silly, and you're probably like, this guy's an idiot, and I didn't have a heart attack, by the way. But honestly, like I keep it pretty simple how I set my bays up. Like front bay is like heavy tools. The left side of the camper is like stuff for the left side of the camper. Things like if we stay overnight, I can get to pretty easy, hook up, and not get a lot of stuff out, and not have to be climbing over things. Right side of the camper is like when we go to set up, everything is over there. So I'm kind of have a method to my madness of, shit, that thing is already back. I'm just standing here.
We'll give you a minute. We'll be right back after this announcement.
Now this video is sponsored by Venture RV. And guys, I'm gonna be honest, Venture was a natural fit for us. We looked at campers, and when we were trying to look going from our travel trailer to a fifth wheel. And we looked at a lot of stuff that maybe had, you know, maybe it was fancier or whatnot, but what we found is Venture does a good job of keeping things simple. And when you throw in the storage bay that's right behind me, it's 185 cubic square feet, and just the way that they do things. So our camper actually kind of performs like we would need it to if we were full-time campers. But honestly, we're part-time, and we do travel more than most. But when you look at the storage and the quality of their build and this, you know, and the lack of trouble that we have had with this thing, I've been really impressed with it. And I want to give a big shout out and thank you to Venture and the guys there. I know they work really hard to produce a good unit. And I've met everybody there, from the general manager to the vice president to the shop manager to down to the guys on the line. And honestly, it's a good bunch of guys who camp and do things and who try to put out the best unit they can. So have I had a few problems with this thing? I have, but you do with all of them. And honestly, when you look at the price point on this one, I got more storage for a lot less money than a lot of these other campers. And guys, I'll be honest with you, I'm not saying that because they sponsored this video. We've been in a Venture product for going on 3 years now, and all this just kind of came about recently. And if I'm being completely transparent, we wanted to be in their unit for a while before we decided to take them on as a channel sponsor, because I don't want to stand behind a company that doesn't stand behind their product. So thank you guys again. Now let's get back to the video. Guys, I almost died. got me some, I won't say liquid courage, but that's not what that is. But we're gonna go on the inside and show you the inside of the camper and the inside storage. I'll make this the inside of this thing quick, guys, because you've seen this. But as far as storage goes, you know, the back kitchen with the rear kitchen with the island, I mean, we have a ton of storage. The only thing we really don't have is a pantry, but honestly, we have so much storage we don't need it. So like, this is where we keep like extra pillows and blankets and things for like when we make up Olivia's bed.
It stores a lot. That thing is super deep.
These, like I have a hat and 2 remotes in this one. So I mean, it's like, you know, it's because we have more storage than we have stuff, to be honest with you. Salt and pepper if you need it. So, and coffee filters. So, this here has 3 rolls of paper towels. And that's it. Like this is all empty back here because there's just nothing. There's nothing in it. So Valerie keeps a lot of her home decor in there, in the center too. And then this is just like odd end stuff.
Pickleball and toys.
Toys. This is that giant bag of use your owner manuals they give you when you buy a new camper. They want to see your home decor.
Again, I'm a minimalist. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it for home decor. What else do you need? Part-time, I ain't setting this up, you know, 55 times a year.
Oh, no.
Why? Okay, what else you got?
I'm gonna show the front. One thing that I like that they did with these campers is they kept the kind of the closet layout of the travel trailer, and then under this bench is all storage. And this is like stuff that we don't use very often, but we do use occasionally. And so you still get your hanging closet here, so which is where we throw our hang up stuff, which honestly isn't much because when we go camping, we're not really taking hang up stuff with us. You got a closet there, this closet here, cleaning stuff, and then again, like this here.
Yeah, we actually do use this stuff. This is all like our beach bags, travel totes, biking helmets. Our laundry tote is that one with the wood lid.
So if you ever need quarters, let us know.
Nowadays, the laundry mats take cards.
I know. Storage under your bed. You guys have all seen that before. And then they do like a little bit of storage here, which we use this quite a bit for remotes and cables and easels for a whiteboard when I do a video on that. Got drawers here. And then another thing they got in here is we have 2 closets. So this is actually like a washer dryer closet, which lets us hang stuff up. Olivia uses it for her closet when we go, and then we have like a little towel closet, medicine closet, whatever you want to call that.
And I mean, it looks empty, and that's because, you know, we do the camper laundry and then we bring it back in when we're ready to go on the next trip.
I like the fact that they put automatic lights in here until I come in at night and I'm trying to get something and I wake Valerie up. She's like, shut the light off. And I'm like, I just shut off in 30 seconds. So that's really the gist of the storage on the inside of this camper. I mean, when you look at like price point and stuff on this camper, mid price point, and we have more storage than most luxury campers, like really expensive campers, which is really kind of cool. And it's one of the things that drew us to this. All right, guys, this is Jarrett and Val's Q&A. She's in on this one with me too. And so I have a list. I'm reading off a list just because I have to or I'll forget. So just bear with me if I'm looking down. I'm looking at the question. I'm not ignoring you, I promise. So first question. Do you really need that much storage if you're not full-time? Yes and no. So for us, this is kind of like we're in this thing a lot and we travel a lot. So for us, I like having a storage in the aspect of like I can put my bikes and stuff underneath and I can put all my stuff away and it's secure. Does that mean that I can't throw stuff in the back of my truck if I don't have as much storage? Yes, you still can. So I know some of you guys are in travel trailers and you're a lot more limited on space. I find that you use the storage that you have, whether it's your truck bed or the small pass-through bay in the front. You know, honestly, if you're going to a state park 20 minutes down the road and that's just where you camp every weekend, you probably don't need a huge storage bay. But if you're like us, where we go 600 miles a lot, it's nice to have the space to put your stuff away. So if you have a big storage bay, just make sure that you know your weights and make sure that you're staying within your legal limits because stuff equals weight. So just keep that in mind. Question 2, how does this RV compare to some of the higher luxury campers? As far as storage space, we probably have as much storage space, especially as any of the bigger ones. We have looked at campers $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 more. We've looked at a couple that's twice as much money as this one. And honestly, I like what you get for your price point here. So, you know, is a fancy electric screen, touchscreen nice and all that good stuff? Yeah, it's kind of cool, the electric dump valves. But to me, in my mind, they break, and those are things that will break. So when I look at the simplicity of this unit for the price point and the storage space and stuff you get, this unit, bang for the buck, is probably one of the best ones we've seen. one thing too is like with this fifth wheel and having a drop frame, if you don't know what kind of camper you want, but you want a lot of storage, guys, I'll be honest with you, the SportTrek fifth wheel is where it's at for storage, 100%. And guys, to give you context to this kind of my opinion here, this is our 6th camper and our 3rd fifth wheel, and we've had everything from a Class A gas, Class A's diesel pusher with a huge basement, and then a couple of fifth wheels. And a travel trailer. So we have a pretty good idea of like what storage space looks like in other rigs. What kind of truck do you need to pull a SportTrek fifth wheel? So this is a loaded question, and a lot of it depends on how you can. So like I was saying earlier, if you have a big storage bay and you put a bunch of concrete blocks in it and you put a ton of weight on it and you're traveling with a full tank of water and everything, you probably want a 1 ton. But if you camp light, lean and mean and travel fast, you can get away with a heavy 3/4 ton. So I know like GM does what they call a tow max 3/4 ton, which would tow this just fine. I think the Fords have a little bit heavier pin box weight. So, you know, you just got to look at the truck. So it all kind of depends on the truck. Now, I had a 3/4 ton, had airbags under it, and it pulled this camper just fine. I traded to a dually, one, because I could find a dually more than a ton single wheel, and I got a good deal on it. My other truck had a lot of miles on it, so I was kind of getting to that point where I needed to trade anyway, because I was getting to having some, I wasn't really having any issues, but the issues were on the horizon. So, well, can you pull this with a 3/4 ton? 100%. Can you pull it with a ton? 100%. So I think just know your weights, know your pin weight, weigh your truck, spec it out, know what your truck will do, and then buy your truck accordingly.
Okay, another question that we get often is, do you like your rear kitchen and do things bounce around back there? And the answer to that is yes and yes. Yes, we love it because of space, counter space, storage space, and the back window, of course. Love this view. And things do bounce around back here. But as part-timers, like, we're not packing a bunch of stuff. We're pretty minimal with what we pack, and what we do pack is usually Tupperware, plasticky things. All our heavy stuff, Dutch ovens, cast iron, whatever, it's either going on the floor of these cabinets or island or under the bay. You know, we have the outdoor grill, even the grill we do carry, the extra one, that's outside under the bay. There's nothing like heavy and clangy or glassy that's bouncing around back here. The only thing that would be glass is the microwave plate, which we remove every time we travel. See, it's not even in there because I keep it under the sink wrapped in towels or something padded. But there's plenty of storage in this, and matter of fact, like more than you need as a part-timer, honestly. But usually, like, this is my Tupperware stuff. If any of that's coming out of the cabinetry, I mean, this is the slide, so it's not going that far. We just always check before we open the slides. You can kind of see, you can kind of walk back through here and see if a door is open. We've had these drawers open before while traveling. So what are you laughing at?
That one camper we had, we ripped the door clean off of it with a slide.
Oh yeah, like this is like the biggest tip. If you take away anything from this whole video, is always check what's going on behind your slides before you hit open, because something could get ripped off. But anyway, I mean, there's plenty of storage here, and what we carry is plastic. Like, I mean, I have a plastic French press. This is a plastic chip and dip holder slash cake stand. $1 million brilliant idea that you thought of too late. Someone else beat you to it. And the coffee mugs we choose are all plastic, except Jarrett's favorite, which I don't know why you like this one, but Venture did give it to us. It's heavy, and I think you just like that it's...
I like a heavy coffee mug that's like ceramic. I don't always like drinking coffee out of a metal can.
Yeah, I just use these Brewmates.
And they're nice too.
They are, but if you're camping and they bounce around, like, they're durable. So, and then everything else in here is plastic. Oh, this particular layout is great because you don't have to worry about what's in the fridge while you're traveling. So when the slide comes in, this fridge is up against the island. It's not opening. And if it did, we would all have problems. I don't know what the concerns are for rear kitchens and the bounce. Maybe if it's the appliances maybe not working properly after all that movement.
I know exactly what the issue is.
What?
People camp with their fine china.
Yeah, so there's the answer to the question. Don't camp with fine china. Next question.
Next question is the storage actually easy to access? And this one, the answer is yes. But those big bays with the big doors, I can get in there and get what I need to get without climbing in. My travel trailer, I felt like a couple of times I had to stick my head in there like a groundhog hole. I'm feet off the ground, I'm laying on my belly reaching stuff. I didn't really have to do that, but you kind of feel that way. So I think on this unit with the big doors in the front, and then the big doors, I'm sorry, on the side, and then the big flip up door in the front. I mean, honestly guys, I can go in there and set, if I didn't have anything in my storage bay, I could sit in there and set up. Valerie said the way this thing is set up, and she's behind the camera, she's like piping in. She should just turn the microphone on. But she's like, it's like having a minivan. The storage bays are like the right height when you get stuff out that gives you good body mechanics. So just, it's easy to access, easy to get out. And honestly, like since we went to the tote with the bikes, it's easier for me to get my bikes in the camper than it is to put them on the bike rack, which I thought was kind of surprising. All right, the next one is why SportTrek and Venture RV. I kind of got into that earlier, but I'll just say, I've got a chance to see how they build their campers. I like the simplicity of the camper. Again, I've always kind of said with this unit, if I got air in the tires and a 3/4 inch wrench, I can run my slides in and get this thing home. And it's just because of the way it is. I mean, all the switches are pretty simple. They're just in-out switches. So if I had to pop my panel out and stick 2 wires together to get the slides run in, I can do it. And it's the little things like that that I appreciate. I like the fact that they use Dexter axles, American made. They use a BAL frame, American steel. They use as much American product as they can. Now, there is no such thing as American made anything anymore because everything comes from China. Like this is Furion's from China, High Point's from China, this is from China. And they use things like products that I've seen around for years, like Dexter axles. Guys, I started out early on in my career journey as a welder, and we built trailers, and we were running Dexter axles. That was 30 years ago or longer. And so that's just like stuff like that that I appreciate, and that's why we went with Venture. So if you want to know why, it's a great camper, price point, and a lot of American-made products on this one. The last question is referencing the title of this video. How does all this storage change the way we travel? So I'm gonna answer this question in 3 parts. The first one is, let's be honest guys, we use our fifth wheel as a hotel on wheels. And because we use it on hotel on wheels, it's very nice because everything has its place. We're not constantly unloading and reloading. Everything pretty much stays in it. We can get ready to go very quickly. The second reason is the way I have the camper storage base set up. It really makes it easy on the actual setup of the camper. Depending on what we're doing, where we're camping. Sometimes we go camping and we don't get anything out of the right side of the bay just because that's not what we're doing on that trip. So I have all my stuff on one side. I can get set up, get the water hooked up, sewer hooked up, power hooked up really quickly. That lets us just go enjoy what we actually want to do. And because we're not full-time, this much storage is awesome because we're not packing and unpacking. We just get to go. And as part-timers, that means everything. We get in a campsite, set up, and go enjoy our weekend. And that's what it's all about. Guys, let us know in the comments if you like the Q&A sessions. If you like them, throw us a question. We'll try to get to them and answer them. If they're helpful, let us know. If they're not helpful, don't tell us. Either way, we'll see you on our next adventure.